Hi, this is Tutor Nick P, and this is verb phrase 153. The verb phrase today is take on, and we'll cover actually 6 meanings and 6 different uses of this verb phrase today. It's a very common verb phrase. Maybe you know 1 or 2 of these, but you probably don't know them all. So let's start. Here's the first one, number 1. If someone takes on something, he or she accepts more burden, more responsibility, more tasks, etc. basically. So this is one of the most common ways we say this, that somebody will take on more responsibility. They will take on more duty. All right, so let's look at a couple of examples we have here. That new job will require that you take on more responsibility. Yeah, sometimes, if it's a promotion, sometimes with promotions come more responsibility. That's why sometimes they're willing to pay you more money too. Or number 2 here, we say, some volunteers took on the task of cleaning up the garbage from that beach. Yeah, a lot of times we'll say take on too. When somebody accepts a duty or responsibility or task that they really don't have to do. So like if you're a volunteer, you probably don't have to do it, but you decided to do it anyway. So you took on this task. You took on this burden. Okay, good. Let's look at the second one here. If someone takes on another, meaning, another person or another organization, he or she begins to fight, argue, or compete with someone. So you could do it like as a challenge in a way. According to the biblical story, only a teenage boy named David was willing to take on Goliath. Yes. So remember, that's the old story from the Bible of David and Goliath. And David was this young teenage boy, and everybody was too afraid to fight Goliath, who was the big, he was like a big giant. But David decided to step up, and he took him on. So he, to challenge him, basically. Challenge, in this case, literally to a fight. Okay, good. Let's continue. A second example, the Boston Red Sox are scheduled to take on the Yankees this weekend. Yeah, you might hear it reported on the news this way in the sports station. It just means that you're going to compete with them. You're going to challenge them in the game. Okay, let's look at number 3 here. If a person or company takes on more employees, workers, etc., they hire more workers. So this is a simple one, but not everybody realizes that we use this use of take on too. So let's look at, an example we have here. That company has a hiring freeze. Yeah, sometimes they'll do this. It means for a period of time, they say they're not going to hire anybody. At this time, they don't want to take on any new employees because they anticipate a recession in the near future. So if they're anticipating a recession, they realize during the recession they might have to lay off or downsize people. So you don't want to hire new ones before that happens, because you don't want to be training people and then have to fire them before they even finish their training or only after they recently been trained. Okay, good. Let's look at number 4 here. If a person or company borrows more money, they take on more debt. Yeah, we hear this all the time. If you take on more debt, you're responsible for more debt. So it's kind of related to the responsibility too. All right, let's look at this. Ever since the 2008 financial crisis, many countries have been taking on more and more debt. All right, so that's an example of that. Okay, number 5. If something takes on something else, it begins to obtain or get a new traits or characteristics of it. So things that it didn't have before. Okay, let's look at the first one here. Over time, many words start to take on a new meaning. Yeah, so if you ever, I do a lot of word origins, sometimes you find out how the words changed and why they end up getting this new meaning that we use today. Even in our lifetime, you often hear it. I mean, one good example might be the word gay. If you look in a lot of old books, gay just usually meant happy. It didn't really take on the meaning of like homosexual until, I don't know, probably, around the 1950s, 60s, something around that time. So it took on a new meaning. And actually, we don't use it as much for the old meaning of happy anymore. But there's a lot of classical writings, classical books, novels, and stuff where you do see this meaning was used. And, you still might have to read that. Okay, let's go on. Even though she is usually humorous, kind of funny, her words took on a more serious tone. So they started to take on some new characteristics here. So this is another way that we say take on. All right, and the last one we have here, number 6. If a vehicle or container gets loaded, it takes on more passengers or weight. Okay, good. So number 6, the example. You overloaded that truck. It is not built to take on that much weight. Or you might think of like the Titanic. Remember, they were afraid to put too many passengers on the beginning lifeboats. They were afraid that they would either they could take on too many passengers or too much weight at the same time. Anyway, I hope you got it. Hope it was informative. Thank you for your time. Bye-bye.